Hello everyone, welcome to the session 1 pre-class. Today, we will cover the followings. First, we will answer the fundamental question, what is programming and what is Python? And then, set our environment to use Python. Lastly, we will learn about the basic concepts in Python and its application. So, what is programming? Do you have any idea? Our computer does many tasks for us, such as complicated calculation or repetitive tasks. And it does this very fast, at least more than humans, right? But there are some problems. Actually, computer cannot directly understand what we want or what we say, because the computer understands only some electric signals consisting of 0 and 1. So, we need programming. We translate our instruction to the code that can be understood by computer. So, the computer can interpret the code and then give us some useful result. Does it make sense? Well, we got to know the meaning and the purpose of programming, but still, you may have some questions. Why we learn this? I'm not interested in, or I'm not related to. However, that's actually not true. Why? First, by learning programming, you can get a kind of tool. Instead of doing many tasks by ourselves, computer can do this very efficiently. Also, whatever you learned or majored, programming may be helpful. You can find many researches that involves programming regardless of the field. For example, some physical motion and chemical interaction can be simulated in the computer. Also, we can analyze given data and establish a model to explain the data or to predict the future data. Besides that, programming can be used in everywhere. Lastly, programming helps think logically. Sometimes people think that programming is hard because it accompanies many of grammar problems, but it is not true. Logical and computational thinking are the essence of programming. You can improve your logical thinking and enjoy programming like solving a puzzle. I think that these were the enough motivations for you, right? Even if you couldn't be interested yet, that's okay. You will enjoy after the course. I'm sure. As we mentioned before, we use Python for programming. Have you ever used or heard Python? Python is one of the most popular programming languages. There are some reasons why Python is popular. First of all, it is easy to learn and use. The grammar is relatively easy and straightforward. Also, Python is a very powerful language because Python provides many useful features and many developers made a lot of libraries. Lastly, we can find lots of references. The communities for Python are very big and large. If you have any issues, then you can find the solution from internet. Of course, it doesn't mean that Python is the best language ever, because it depends on our purpose or need or situation. But we adopted Python for the language used in the course for the several reasons. First, as I said, Python has a lot of libraries for many purposes, so we can make various programs with Python. Second, we can focus on the big picture of programming by excluding some miscellaneous things. For example, if we learn C or C++, then just learning about memory management may take a week, but we don't have so much time. So we will learn about the essence of programming and Python as much as possible. Then we have to set our environment to use Python. We need two things, Python and PyCharm, an editor for Python. And I recommend to use Windows 10 because this lecture is made in Windows 10 environment. But you can use other OS without any problem because they are having good compatibility. If you are using other OS and you are not sure about that, please ask via comment with your environment and system specification. I will briefly explain how to set our environment and show how to do. You can check your system specification by searching about your PC. Then check if your system uses 64-bit or 32-bit. And then go to the link and download the executable installer for Python. And go to the link and download PyCharm. That's all about installation. It is very simple. Did you complete the installation? Then we will look around the PyCharm. As we saw, we should create a project first. Check new environment using, like this. And then select virtual environment, like this. And if you installed Python correctly, then you can find Python 37 here. Okay. Then, after a moment, you can see such a window. Left side shows the directory of project. You can manage each files in this side. And from right side, you can see the code editor. You can erase all of them before we start. For the first exercise, we will print hello world in the console. It is very simple. You can write print hello world like this and right click and click run here. Then you can see the console and the message hello world like this. If you have done successfully, you are ready for using Python. So good so far. As I said, we can print almost everything as long as it has data. Also, we can print several things at once by using comma, like this. Then it prints 10, 20, 30. Sorry for bad writing. We can use print in many ways, so I strongly recommend to practice by yourself. Variable is a named symbol containing some data. Each name is corresponding to some value. I will give an example. You can think about some variable x, which is corresponding to 100. And this is u. If you want using value 100, instead of using this directly, you can use variable x because the value is the same ultimately. So we can declare the variable by name equal some value like this. This is variable's name and this is the value that the variable contains. And variable can various type of value like this. It is number, specifically integer, and this is string, and this is boolean, true or false. And it even can contain some expression like this and something other variables like this. We can use variable just putting it somewhere. In this case, we put the variable to print function like this. And from the code, we can know that variable can be reused. In this example, the variable x is used 3 times, and the value in a variable can be changed. In this case, the variable containing 100 is changed like this. So now x contains 150. So what kinds of data can we use? We will learn about several data types. Numeric types stand for number. It can be an integer, floating point number, or complex number. We can apply some arithmetic operations between the numeric types. For example, the first statement is 5. It is 6.0. It means power, so 0 to 10. It may be 1. It is division, so 2.5. It is integer division, so the result is 2. It is modulo operation, so its remainder is 2. Does it make sense? Boolean type stands for true or false, like this. And be cautious of the capitalization. Okay. In most programming language, the Boolean false is equivalent to 0, and true is equivalent to some non-zero number. So, -1 to 100, so on, they can be regarded as true, and 0 is regarded as false. Be cautious of that. And instead of using true or false explicitly, we can get Boolean value by comparison expression, like this. This means is equal, so 5 is not equal to 3, so it may be false. It means not equal. These are not equal, so it is true. It means greater than, so it is true, right? String is also data type. We can denote the string by apostrophe or quotation mark or triple apostrophe. It used quotation mark, it used apostrophe, it is triple apostrophe. Note that apostrophe and quotation mark is equivalent. The triple one is for multi-line string. So we cannot represent multi-line string with quotation mark and apostrophe. We can use plus and multiplication to string. Then two strings are merged by plus, and a string is iterated n times like this. There are some data types that can contain multiple items, list and tuple. The only difference is mutability and some notation. List envelops the item with bracket, and tuple envelops with parentheses. And list is mutable, so its contents can be changed, but tuple cannot. List and tuple can contain any types of item. In this example, the list 1 contains another list like this. Also, it is okay to contain different types item at once. In this example, it contains string, number, boolean, or other list. Then, how can we access to each item? We called it indexing. By using bracket, we can access to item at a certain position, like this. We can use like list or tuple name and bracket and index. But note that the index starts at 0, not 1. So this expression means 50 second item, like this. Be cautious. And list can change each item by indexing, like this. But tuple cannot. And we can access multiple items or extract each sublist or subtuple by using colon. This is called slicing. For example, we can slice like this and result is like this. Let me see the index. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it is extracted. But the index 7 is not included. Note that. Indexing and slicing are very important operations in Python. We explained the detail in the supplement. Before we learn about function, we should know some important function. It is already covered. We will use input, int, string list, and length. By using input function, we can get the input from user via console. We can use the function like this. Note that message can be omitted. Then let me see the example. We can use input function like this. Then this message is printed like this. Then we can give some input like this. Then this input is stored to variable name, and it is printed like this. So we can see the following result. Can you understand? Sometimes we may want to change the data type. For example, this data type is actually string, but we may want to use like numeric value. So we use integer function. This changes the data type into numeric value, specifically integer, if possible. So in this example, the string is converted to integer value 121, and then result is like this. By using length function, we can know the length of string list or tuple. For example, this list has the length 5. Why? Because it contains 5 items. And the string University of Ghana has including white space totally 19 characters. So it has length 90. Then how about this? 2 or 6? What you think? The answer is 2. Because the length function does not consider about the internal item, so it's just 2 items. List 1, list 2. Does it make sense? From now, we will learn about some important statements. First, if statement check the condition, so true or false, and determine whether the following code will be run or not. For example, here, if the condition was true, then the code will be executed. But if the condition was false, then the code cannot be run. Or we can use elif. It is an abbreviation of else if or else. These are optional. These meanings are very straightforward, I think. If the condition was not true and condition 2 was true, then code 2 will be run. Or condition 1 was false and condition 2 was false and condition 3 was true, then code 3 will be run. Or if all the condition was false, then code in the else statement will be run. In this example, which code will be executed? Absolutely, and the answer is this, right? And for practice, we give some problems in the exercise. Sometimes we want to repeat some task. We can do this by while and for statement. Let me see the while statement first. While statements like this. We check the condition, and if it was true, then run this code. And check the condition again and run the code again, and again. For example, in this code, check whether a is less than 6. Actually, it is true. So increase a by 1, then a is 4, and print a. And then check again. 4 is less than 6, so increase by 1 and print a. And 5 is less than 6, and increase by 1 and print again, like this. Then the condition becomes false. Then these codes are not run. For statement is slightly harder than while statement. In for statement, an iterator traverses given list-like object. List-like object means containing several items. It is list, tuple, or string. Why string? Because the string can contain several characters, right? So iterator is usually temporary variable, and the list-like object is called iterable object. So for statement is like this. Let me see the example. For I in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then at first I becomes the first item 1. So sum is increased by 1. And then the iterator I becomes 2. Then sum is increased by 2. And it becomes 3, and sum increased 3 plus 4 and 5. So the answer is 15. And then let me see the another example here. The list is containing 2 items, ABC and DF, and J become ABC first, so ABC was printed, and second, J becomes DEF, and this was printed like this. To use for statement easily, we usually use range function that provides a sequence of number. For example, we may want 1, 2, 3, so on, 1000, or 100, 101, so on, 1 million, or 199, so on, 0. But making such a sequence by our hand is very difficult, so we use range function. How can we use? Like this. Start means the starting number. In default, the starting number is 0. And end means the ending number. Note that the number end is not included in the result. For example, end is set by 100, then the result sequence does not contain 100. And step is how much we step in each iteration. For example, 1, 3, 5, 7, so on. It has step 2. Can you understand? Let me see the example. For I in range 101, then this means 0, 1, 2, 3, so on, 100. Not 101 because and is not included in the result. So the sum is the sum from 0, 1, 2 to 100. So the answer is like this. Does it make sense? We provide some exercise for you and you can find in exercise section. Note that the indentation doesn't matter in Python, unlike other programming languages. For example, this code may cause error because the indentation was not made like this. Usually, we can give some indentation after some statement with colon. For example, if condition colon, then make an indentation, and while colon, then indentation. Does it make sense? You can add some comment in your code. Actually, in program, it does nothing. Then, why we use comment? Because we want to explain to coworker or friend my code. Also, we sometimes forgot the code even if we write this. So, we want to explain to myself in tomorrow. And sometimes we use it to disable some code temporarily. There are two ways to give some comment. This way is for single line comment like this. And this one is multi-line comments. It uses triple apostrophe. Also, we can disable some code by using like this. Then, let's learn about functions, class, and library. Function in programming is slightly different with that in math. Function in math just gives some value with some calculation. For example, fx equal to x. Then we can use like this. Then we can get some value like this. There is no side effect other than just calculation. However, function in programming is a code sequence that does some work, containing some making side effect. It means we can get some value like function in math like this. We call such a value like return value. In addition, we can make some side effect other than just calculation. For example, we used print function and it does print some message. It is also side effect. Also, we can change some variable or cause some error. These all are side effect. Then, why do we use function? Let me see the example here. Each for statement has similar feature, just summing 0 to 99, 02, so on. But writing these codes repetitively seems very inefficient. By using function, we can avoid repetitive tasks and code, and it makes maintenance easier. And we can use the function very many times, and so on. Then let's define the function. We use define keyword like this and use like this. Define function name and some parameter, and don't forget the indentation, and some code body. For example, define keyword, function name, and here the parameter is omitted, and body is print hello world. And in the second example, define keyword, function name, and parameter n, and code body. As you can see, some function may not have parameter, like this. And some function may have 2 or more parameters, like this. We can separate this by using comma. And we can set a default argument, like this. If we skip to use the argument when we call the function, then this default value is used. And note that non-default one must precede default one. So it is invalid. It should be b, a equal 100. Note that. Sometimes we may want to get some value from the function. Then we can use return keyword. Return keyword determines a return value of a function, like this. In this case, it returns variable sum. When we return, the function is terminated immediately. And note that some function may not have a return value or return keyword. Then let's use function we defined. We can call some function with function name and parameters. In this example, adder function returns a plus b, so the value is 5 plus 3, so 8. So 8 can be printed. And we can indicate the parameter explicitly, like this: a equals 5, b equals 3. And a function can call another function. Let me see. We call add and square function with parameter 5 and 3. And here, this function calls adder function and squares. Then adder function adds 5 and 3, so returns 8. And it returns 8 to the 2, it means this, so it returns 64. So 64 is printed like this. It is more complicated, right? Some function can call itself like this. We called this situation as recursion. In this example, the factorial function with parameter 5 is written like 120. Can we know the region of result from the code? We leave the question in exercise. So, I strongly recommend to practice by your exercise. Then, let's move on class. How can we manage each student's information, such as name, ID, grade, GPA, etc.? How about doing like this? I think it is very inefficient way, because if we have 3,000 or 4,000 students, then we cannot do this. Is there any wiser way? So we used class. Class is a frame that contains several variables and several functions to deal with the data. These variables are called member variable, and this function can be called method. Remember that? For example of students, member variable can be name, ID, grade, and GPA and something. And we can think of a method like changing GPA function and getting some information function and increasing grade function and so on. And each instance of class is called object. In the previous example, each student can be each object in the class. We can separately interact or manipulate some data and access to each object. In this example, we can get some GPA from Johnson. Then this method will return this GPA. Then let's define a class with class keyword like this. And it is class name and colon. We can define several methods by using define keyword like normal function. And note that the first parameter of method must be self. Don't forget. Then let's see the init function here. Init function is a special method called initializer. It is automatically called when the object is created. Usually, we declare member variables in the initializer so that we can automatically declare when the object is created. So we complete to define a class. Then we can create an object with some class by using class name and with some arguments like this. Note that each argument is corresponding with the initializer's parameter like this. Does it make sense? Then, how can we use method we defined? We can call method with object name dot method name and some argument. Let me see the example. In here, update GPA method is called like this. This is object name, this is method name, this is argument. So then We can ask some question. Where is self? Note that self is skipped in every method, including initializer. So this is used in definition, but we cannot use this when we are called. Also, we can directly access to member variables without using method, like object name dot member variable name, like this. Some exercise for you are in the exercise, and more detailed explanation are in supplement. Lastly, we will learn about libraries. Library is a collection of data, function, and classes. There are many of libraries for many purposes, for math, for statistics, and image processing, and AI, machine learning, and game, and so on. And in this course, we will use here, and possibly here. So, why we use a library? Because our time is precious. You don't need to implement everything what you want. Just use functions made by professional developers. Actually, most of library is made very well. Then, how can we use library? First, we should import some library into our code, like this. We use import keyword. And then we can use libraries function and data and classes by doing this. Library name and dot and name what we want. Let me see the example of pi. This is library name dot and pi. Then it can print it like this. We can also use function library name dot and function name add some parameter. Then it is printed like this. Also, we can define alias of library. Why we use alias? Because some library has too long name, such as multiprocessing and matplotlib.pyplot. It is too long, so we define alias for our convenience. Like this, we can use as keyword. Then we use library name using alias. Also, we can use only several items or just one item in the library by using from keyword. In this example, the meaning is very straightforward. We can import pi from math library, and then we can use like this. Note that we do not use library name like math. Also, we can use all item by using asterisk. It is like wildcard. So we cannot use any items without using library name. But it is slightly dangerous. It is explained in supplement material. And we can make our own library. How can we do that? It is very simple. First, we can create some new Python file, and then we can define some variable, function, and class here. Then save. That's all. Then we can use it by just importing like this. Note that the library name is same with the file name, excluding .py. Then we can use it like this. That's very simple, right? And some exercise for you are in exercise. That's all for today. And we will announce the real-time class. In the real-time class, we will have a lab session after some review. In the lab session, you will do some mini project. The corresponding material will be uploaded soon. Before that, please review what we covered. And some supplement and exercise were uploaded. So please refer and practice. And do you have any question or some issue? Feel free to ask us via comment in the page or email. That's all. Thank you. See you next.